Welcome to SPM Academy. I'm your webinar host, Deborah McGrath, Principal Product Marketing Engineer with ServiceNow. Today, we'll be discussing Strategic Planning Workspace. And there's no one we'd rather hear from on this hot topic than James Ramsey, who's Director of Product Management for our Portfolio Management Business Unit. And joining us from behind the scenes, as always, is my expert co-producer, John Lim, who is the Senior Product Marketing Manager and also supports our Portfolio Management Business Unit. First, some housekeeping. Please use the Q&A button to submit any questions, and time permitting, we'll respond at the end of the webinar. The webinar recording will be available from our community site within a few days. John will be sharing the links. And we have a short survey at the end of every webinar we do. Now, before we get going, let's take a look at our safe harbor notice. While most of what we'll be discussing are features that are available now, this presentation may contain forward-looking statements reflecting the current beliefs of ServiceNow, and all are based on current information available. But your actual results may differ materially and should not be relied upon in making purchasing decisions. Our agenda today includes a comprehensive overview of all the key components of Strategic Planning Workspace that James can possibly discuss over the next 25 or so minutes. And we'll wrap up as usual with some helpful resources and upcoming events. Now, I'd like to welcome James Ramsey. Hey, James.
Hi, Deborah.
James, I know you're going to spend the bulk of your time today actually in the demo of Strategic Planning Workspace, but we appreciate that you're going to kick things off by answering a question that I had. If you could describe Strategic Planning Workspace on one single slide, what would that look like?
Right. Well, let's have a go. Let's see what that could look like. So you're all familiar with our strategic portfolio management solution, the way it manages the end-to-end SPM lifecycle, from capturing our goals, planning our strategic roadmap, to prioritizing and capturing demand, to planning our roadmaps, to delivering all of the work, and then capturing and looking at the value. And what's unique about ServiceNow SPM? It's on the ServiceNow platform, and it connects with everything else on the platform natively. Now, Strategic Planning Workspace, and here's the challenge, that's the central hub of strategic portfolio management, and it gives us full end-to-end visibility. So when challenged by Deborah to put this on one slide, I thought, well, let's have the life cycle on there. Let's have the focus on customer value in the middle. And if you think about what we then can do in Strategic Planning Workspace to look at each element of that life cycle, we can start off in strategic planning, defining our goals and targets, our OKRs, and planning that strategic roadmap. We can look at our backlog of demand. We can be looking at our single intake around feedback, bringing that all together so we can prioritize it. We then get into portfolio planning, and we can use things like scenario planning in order to optimize our delivery roadmaps. And then when it comes to actually delivering the work on that roadmap, we can then be leveraging things like capacity planning. So we're ensuring we've got the right resources available at the right time to deliver the work on the roadmap, whether that's agile or traditional projects. And then when it comes to our organization, they now want to scale agile more across their organization, we give them, through enterprise agile planning as part of the Strategic Planning Workspace, the ability to scale agile work across their enterprise in the way they want to do it. And finally, coming back to that strategic plan, we tie it all back together and have that real-time progress in terms of how we're achieving those goals or those OKRs, and being able to visualize that on dashboards for whichever layer of the organization we're looking at. So hopefully that's Strategic Planning Workspace on one slide.
Thanks, James. That was a great overview and a perfect foundation for your demo.
Okay then, so we're going to look at Strategic Planning Workspace. And as Deborah mentioned, when I was asked to do this session, I wanted to do it with inside the solution itself, because I think it speaks for itself in terms of how it works. So as you can see, this is my instance. This is Yokohama. So what we're going to look at is everything that's available currently in our current release, all available standard out the box. And I'm going to go through a series of tabs to take you through different facets of Strategic Planning Workspace. Now, the first thing to recognize about Strategic Planning Workspace is it's cross-functional. It can be used right the way across an organization. And the key building block of how you use it are things we call portfolio plans. So as I come into Strategic Planning Workspace, I can see all of the portfolio plans either that I own or I've been asked to participate in. And as you can see, these are right the way across an organization. Importantly, you can see in terms of what we're utilizing as a prioritization scoring model for all of the investments in terms of our scoring framework. What we've done here is introduce the ability for you to use industry standard scoring models for your initiatives like RICE or weighted shortest job first. Plus, you have the ability to create your own scoring framework. So if you're already using something, you can quickly add that into the solution as well. And you'll also see a column called lenses. Now, the lens column is where SPM, Strategic Planning Workspace, becomes unique, because the lens concept is something unique to ServiceNow. What it essentially means is when we build our portfolio plan, we can associate a lens with it so it better reflects how the person or the people collaborating around that portfolio plan want to plan and what they want to prioritize. So if, for example, I was going to create a new portfolio plan, we have a wizard. And the first thing you do when you come into that wizard is you select the lens. Now, what we're seeing on screen are all of the lenses that we provide standard out the box. And for example, if I'm in an organization or looking at transition to sort of a value stream model, I may want to start planning in the form of value stream. So I would use a value stream lens. We hear lots of customers wanting to move to a product model, and I might want to use the product lens. And for enterprise architects using our enterprise architect solution, they may want to plan using business capabilities. Now, other parts of the organization may want to use things based on their organization. So if I'm IT PMO, for example, I might use the organizational lens. So you've got lots of flexibility in terms of the lenses we provide out the box. Plus, you have the ability as well to create your own lenses. Now, one of the things I mentioned about Strategic Planning Workspace is it's cross-functional. It can go at all different levels of the organization. So we're going to start at the top in the strategic roadmap. So I'm going to go into a portfolio plan, which is my strategic roadmap. Now, what's different about this type of roadmap is on it, I'm looking at my strategic initiatives. These are the big rocks, the big things as an organization we're looking to deliver, which is going to drive our organization forward. Now, on this roadmap, I can see those initiatives and I see they're aligned to our strategic priorities. And that's key. As part of our strategic planning process, we need to understand our strategic plan, define those strategic priorities, and then associated to those strategic priorities, we then want to define our goals and targets, or our OKRs. So quickly moving to our objectives tab of my strategic roadmap, I can see all my OKRs down the left-hand side. I've actually for time already clicked in onto one key result. So I can see on the right-hand side in real time how we're actually performing in actually achieving that particular key result. And as you can see there, we've got a bit of an issue because we're not quite accelerating the investment in AI across our business that we should be doing. So obviously there's something I need to do there. So quite clearly from an executive layer, I can see my overall strategic roadmap and that link to our strategy and our overall OKRs, all driven through that goal framework. Now, if we think about this problem I've got here about needing to accelerate AI maybe across our products and services we're providing, that takes me into another area of Strategic Planning Workspace, the area we call feedback. And this is really aligned to people like myself, a product manager type persona, a service owner type persona, where we're looking at collecting feedback from maybe internally inside our organization or looking at things we're providing externally to our customers and maybe other organizations. So as I come into the feedback area, I can look at all feedback or maybe around what I particularly own, in this case, my business customer portal. As I click into there, it takes me to a dashboard of all the feedback for that particular product in this case. I can see what that feedback is, how it's categorized, where it's come from, and I can also see things like sentiment analysis. So it gives me at a high level some really important information about the feedback that we're seeing. Now, because our problem is investment around AI. I'm particularly interested in our AI feedback, so I can drill into that. As I go down, I'm going to see I've got 13 pieces of feedback for my particular product specifically on AI. I can see that some of that's coming direct from email, which we can pull in directly utilizing an Outlook integration we provide out the box. But equally, it can come from right the way across the platform, maybe incidents, maybe cases, maybe ideas. Now, to save time, I don't really want to have to click into each one of these items and review it and then decide what I want to do. What I can now do, leveraging Now Assist for SPM, I can select the items I want to summarize. Now Assist will go away, summarize all those pieces of feedback, tell me what I need to know, and from that I can more quickly action the feedback. So I can get a long list of that summary. Maybe let's just view less. So I can see I've got a need to stick an AI chatbot inside my business customer portal. So what I want to do is quickly turn that into action. So I might want to create a demand. I might want to do something faster and actually create an epic and send it to the development team straight away. But utilizing Now Assist, having brought all of that feedback together in one place inside Strategic Planning Workspace, I can now action it much more quickly. I can be more agile as a product manager. Now, that then takes us down a level in terms of how we then want to deliver on our strategies and our strategic plan. So what I'm going to do now is go into another portfolio plan at the delivery level. Now, I've called this my delivery roadmap. It might be my business transformation roadmap, however you want to call it. Now, the first area I'm looking at is what we call our prioritization tab. And this is effectively our backlog of our roadmap. These are all of the things we're thinking of doing or wanting to do. And on there, you'll see we've got our AI chatbot. Now, as part of managing that backlog of our portfolio plan, I can obviously drag and drop and reprioritize things. If I want to do manually, we can automatically rank based on any element, including, and importantly, our scoring model. So I can do that. And just incidentally, we've added this new scoring capability. So for each element on here, I can actually look at the scores against the scoring model that we've got defined. So really powerful stuff. So as I'm looking at that backlog, I might want to make sure we're prioritizing our AI chatbot so that appears on the roadmap. And then I can go now and look at my more detailed delivery roadmap. So where before we were just looking at strategic initiatives on the strategic roadmap, now we're looking at the work items, all of which underpin those initiatives. So on my one roadmap, I'm seeing demands, I'm seeing epics, and I'm seeing projects. So all types of work. So it's a real hybrid roadmap. You can also include on here any planning items that you may want to create. We give you 5 item tables that you can create your own planning items on as well. So on here, as you can see, this is all interactive drag and drop. I can see my milestones associated with my projects. If I scroll to the right hand side, we'll also see the ability to have interdependencies between all of those different items. I have the ability to personalize the view, how I want to look at it. So maybe as well as strategic priority, I maybe want to see things and relate them to the initiatives on the strategic roadmap that they're related to. So I might want to see that. And ultimately, as well as being able to see what we're planning to do, wouldn't it also be great to see in real time how we're actually performing in delivering that roadmap? So whether the work is being delivered through the project workspace in ServiceNow or through the agile capability in ServiceNow, or we've got people working in third-party execution tools, I can see in real time how we're executing. So all of that is in one place. And not only that, if I need to then communicate this to the wider business, I can take that, I can export that to PowerPoint and have a PowerPoint of my roadmap, which we can utilize right the way across the business. All really good stuff. Now, some of that has been in the product for quite a period of time. What we've now introduced is some additional added value capabilities to support that roadmap planning. Now, as part of that, we've increased the level of personalization. So as I come into Strategic Planning Workspace for my portfolio plan, I can personalize what I need to see for my specific roles. Do I want to see goals? Do I want to see the scoring module? And then what do I want to see when I'm doing my detailed planning? So I really want to see capacity as well. So let's add that in. I can apply the changes. And what we'll then see is I've now got 4 tabs. I've got my prioritization tab we looked at. We've been in and looked at the roadmap. Now, that's all well and good. I can plan out what I want to do, but I want to be able to understand what is the impact of that roadmap or our current plan on that roadmap from a capacity standpoint. Where are our hotspots? Now, I can do that right the way down to skill level should I want to do it. So really powerful. This is all interactive, so I can drag and move things around in here so I can see what the possible alternatives are. So that makes sure we can always deliver the roadmap or at least have proactive visibility of where we potentially have issues. And then obviously I want to see it from a financial perspective. So rolling up all the detailed financial information against each one of those planning items, whether they're demands, whether they're epics, or whether they're projects, I can see all of that together so I can ensure that we're working with inside our financial constraints as well as part of that portfolio plan. But not only that, that's my current plan that we're delivering to. We all know that priorities change. Headcount might change, budgets might shift, we may get new priorities. So we introduce the all-important what-if scenario planning. So in this case, for time, I'll just pick on a scenario I've already created, call that reduce costs. So I can bring up that scenario. Now, importantly, as I come into this, you'll notice that I'm now in simulation mode. So my scenario is essentially a sandpit. I can select maybe different things I want to have with inside my scenario. And you see on the left-hand side, I can see how that's impacting my targets from a financial perspective. I can see my strategic alignment down the left-hand side. I can look at it from a roadmap perspective, and I might want to be starting moving things out or condensing things when we're looking at it from a schedules perspective. And at all times, I can see the financials relating to that scenario. And as part of that, I might want to be setting new targets specifically for the scenario. Maybe I'm modeling that budget cut, and I need to see what we can do with inside that new budget. But having created my different scenarios, all importantly, I need to be able to compare them. So I can go into compare scenarios. I can see all my different scenarios side by side. And so I've got my current plan, the different scenarios I have. We can see we're comparing from a budget and target perspective at the top. We can compare from a benefit perspective. We can see the distribution of budget. And then I can see what any trade-offs are in terms of what we're currently doing based on what each one of these different scenarios then offers us. Once I'm happy with that, following my analysis, I can determine which one of these scenarios makes the best fit for where we want to go as a business. So I can click on approve scenario and turn that scenario live. So really powerful in enabling us to do that continuous roadmap optimization within Strategic Planning Workspace. Then when it comes to actually executing on those elements, I'm going to focus really on the agile side of things. We introduce within Strategic Planning Workspace Enterprise Agile Planning. Now this is the ability for organizations to scale agile how they want across the business. It means that different areas of the organization may be wanting to use different levels of agile capability. And so we're supporting that flexibility across the business. So we got the top, an organization maybe wanting to use portfolio safe, where I've got a specific product team, the loan origination system, who are using a Scrum of Scrums methodology, for example, all using the great capability, all under one platform, but enabling them to have the different nuances of how they want to work. So from a credit and lending portfolio perspective, I've got my overall dashboard telling me of how we're progressing. I can look in terms of what's on our backlog and plan the backlog of epics that we want to drive. And then we can see how we then go about planning. And what you'll notice on my planning board, we've got our AI chatbot that we took from feedback right at the beginning. I can look into the details behind that, and maybe let's go into full details. And one of the things we've added to help our teams as they start doing our planning of activity, the ability to take any planning item, epic feature, etc., and break that down into the constituent stories utilizing Now Assist. So I can elect to use Now Assist, and From there, I can then elect to do create stories. Now Assist will then go away based on the information associated to my epic, both in the description and any of the collaborative documents we have with inside Docs. Utilize all of that information to come up with a series of stories. I can then elect to confirm and save those stories, which I will do for time, but I could also work with Now Assist to refine them and create other stories. And once I've done that, those stories will be added to my epic. So very quickly, I've gone from an epic to creating 3 stories through Now Assist and had those stories created automatically. So really improving the productivity of teams as they start to plan and break down work, all within Strategic Planning Workspace. And just one thing in terms of from an AI perspective, we've added AI right the way through the experience. So if I'm creating things like descriptions or business cases, I can utilize Now Assist to help me with the content. We've obviously got our collaborative document capability where we're able to leverage Now Assist with inside there as well. So right the way through, whether it's from an agile perspective or it's with inside feedback, that AI capability is available throughout. Now, just to finish off, and before Deborah shouts at me, the final place I'm going to take you to is something we added with inside the Yokohama release, and it's to enhance the ability to do analysis throughout all of the information we have in Strategic Planning Workspace. And this is our dashboarding capability. So we've shipped a number of dashboards standard out the box. You can add in your own dashboards. So the execution dashboard, for example, is a bit of a favorite of mine. It gives us an overarching view of everything we're looking at with inside Strategic Planning Workspace. So I have an overview in terms of what we're looking to execute on. We could look at financial information, capacity information, particularly like the redact view, which is essentially rolling up all of that control information for those underlying planning items, so I can see where we are from a risk, issues, decisions perspective. So I see all of that together on one place, bringing together all of that information from all of those underlying planning items from those portfolio plans. So a bit of a whistle-stop tour of that, but hopefully that's giving you a view of what I showed you on the slide. All of those great capabilities to support the end-to-end SPM lifecycle, all housed within that single user experience of the Strategic Planning Workspace. So I think I'm going to hand over to you, Deborah.
Thanks so much, James. Now let's take a look at a few upcoming events. We're super excited to host our first Nexus for SPM, EA, and CWM in person at ServiceNow headquarters in Santa Clara, California on September 17th and 18th. Scan this QR code for registration details. We would absolutely love to see you there, to meet you in person. I'll definitely be there. You'll hear from industry experts, our partners, our BU experts. We're going to have over 15 breakout and roundtable sessions, an expo where you can meet and greet with other partners and industry leading customers. You're going to hear all sorts of great information. So please register for that event if you have the opportunity. Then our next SPM Academy will be on Thursday, August 28th. The topic is enterprise architecture. Join us to hear all about this important application that enables your organization to align application and technology portfolios with your business strategy to gain greater value from your technology investments. This is another important webinar you absolutely don't want to miss. And then, as always, you can register for any of our live on ServiceNow events at community.servicenow.com, as well as register for any of our SPM Academy webinars on community.servicenow.com by navigating to Product Hubs, Strategic Portfolio Management, and then Events. And then you'll be able to select any of our SPM Academy upcoming events. James, I think that's pretty much it. We do have some other AI events coming up, so I'm going to give you a couple seconds just to scan these QR codes as well. James, fantastic. I think we could keep you on for another half hour. Lots of heart emojis and thank yous coming in. I wanted to say thank you again, James Ramsey. That was fantastic. Thank you to my co-producer, John Lim. And most of all, thank you, SPM Academy audience, for joining us once again. See you at our next SPM Academy webinar.